Hello and welcome. You are watching The Big Story here on Magic Bricks Now. I'm Krishna Kumar. On The Big Story today, even as the city of Bengaluru fights toxic lakes and a steel VVIP flyover, the netas of Bengaluru and Karnataka have decided to give themselves even more. We will get to that, but first up, all the headlines that we're tracking. The government gives an update on the ongoing demonetization drive, says over 80,000 ATMs across India have been recalibrated. After long queues become shorter across India, but traders continue to suffer, say business is down by over 50%.
Congress party wants the debate under adjournment motion. The speaker is refusing to give us a debate.
And the uproar within the parliament, protests outside the parliament continue. Opposition joins forces to corner the government, announces a countrywide Akrosh Divas to express anger on the 28th of November. Straight to the big story. The city of Bengaluru has been fighting VVIP flyovers, the steel one I'm talking about, toxic lakes, garbage wars and traffic. But Karnataka's netas, at this point in time, have gifted themselves 300 plush villas at Whitefield in the city of Bengaluru. The special housing for all netas, quote unquote, as activists are calling it, is set to come up in a sprawling area of over 100 acres of land.
If Karnataka netas have it their way, then 100 acres of this piece of land in and around the Kadugodi plantation that I'm currently standing in will be converted into an exclusive layout for legislators, complete with a sprawling mansion for the speakers of both the houses, also houses for all the legislators, along with clubhouses, children's playground, gardens and even a community centre. This place, which is located just a stone's throw away from Whitefield, which is the economic hub and highly polluted, is the last green space left in East Bengaluru. And now citizens as well as environmentalists are up in arms against the netas to save this last piece of land which the Forest Department intends to convert into an urban garden.
Why only this land? This has got so much of significance in terms of giving us a big greenery area in the middle of the city. Why only this land? Okay, there's so much of area. City is supposed to grow outside, and why this idea, if at all, if you want to give it to the legislatives, why can't they go out and some area can be acquired and made a township there? Why in the middle of the city, and which has and also take out the land which has got so much of significance, not just from the environment perspective but also from historically. I mean, we have been told that this particular land has been earmarked for reserved forest by the Maharajas of Karnataka. So why do we want to get into the breaking of that tradition? Is my question. And also, so we already have just few meters away, we already have so much of infrastructure problems, and bringing again an urban development here will only add to the woes. It's not going to solve the problems.
Whitefield is supposed to be the second highest polluted in this area. So with this scenario, if you take away even this, how will people live? We are already battling with traffic issues, water issues, and lakes are dying, encroachments, all this happening. So even if the lake is, even if this forest is encroached or taken away, what example are you setting to the people? That's it I have to say. It's absolutely not necessary for another township to come here. They can find any other place, better place, which can be well connected and utilized in future.
Urban growth has become so rampant that there are no trees left anywhere. And the government keeps launching schemes to keep getting rid of trees. I think this will lead to the death of the city. This is actually an insult to democracy itself, because citizens are not consulted. This area is the only remaining reserve forest in this area, 700 acres of which most of it is encroached. The Forest Department actually is working really hard to regain this forest land. They have been spending so much time, the officials are running around courts, and when they are about to get it back, and they're taking it back from encroachers, now the government comes and says they want to build their township. This is the biggest insult. It doesn't sound like a democracy, it sounds like a colonial rule again.
That's right. No relief from toxic lakes, no relief from traffic woes, no relief from garbage disposal. And we've just come out of a victory in terms of the VVIP steel flyover. And now Netas want to give themselves a plush township, that too spread over 100 acres, which will involve deforestation as well. And to understand this a little better, we're being joined by some very special guests here in the Magic Bricks Now studios in Mumbai. We have former Justice of the Bombay High Court, Mr. M.F. Saldana, and from the Congress Party, we have Mr. Nasir Hussain. I thank you, both of you gentlemen, for taking time out to be this here on the big story on Magic Bricks Now. Mr. Saldana, I'm going to start with you. Your first thoughts on this situation?
Krishna, this is absolutely intolerable. It is intolerable. I am horrified. Every right-thinking person in Bangalore and the whole of Karnataka, and if I may add, I'm in Bombay now, every citizen of this country will not stand for it. This is worse than a rape of the planet, what these people are doing, and it has been happening systematically. Shall I tell you, very recently a report,
Please go ahead, sir.
A report had come out in which it was pointed out that 12 lakh hectares of prime forest land has been destroyed by this government and by its ministers during the tenure of this government. And now they want to finish the city. As it is, the toxic lakes around Whitefield are making it almost impossible for people to live there. And it's the economic hub. Now, as far as this proposal is concerned, I will certainly, and I'm sure the others will also do it. I don't think it's worth going to the courts. I'm sorry to say it as an ex-judge, because every time we make an approach to the court says that I will not interfere. And I don't know if it has happened this time, because I've been in Bombay for a little while. But under the Forest Conservation Act, no such project is permissible. It just cannot be done. And obviously, I'm amazed and I'm horrified that a state government, and that too the people manning the government, are thinking of doing something like this. I'm happy to say this, Krishna, that the Environment Minister of the central government, whom I admire very much, he has been doing an excellent job, and we'll certainly take it up with him. He has intervened in many matters as far as Karnataka is concerned, but we will stop it at all costs.
Stop it at all costs. Mr. Saldana, hold your thoughts. I'm going to take this across to Mr. Nasir Hussain of the Congress Party. Mr. Hussain, I'm sure you've been hearing out what Mr. Saldana have been saying. I want to understand your initial reactions to that.
Well, Krishna, this had appeared in the newspaper some time back that the government of Karnataka is planning to have a township for the legislators here. I personally don't feel anything bad with the idea of having a small township for the legislator as such. But I don't know if they have already shortlisted the place, because the report carried some names in that. They said that 3-4 tracts of land have been identified. Nothing has been finalized. But this idea has been mooted by some people for some time now. Because even now, what is happening in Karnataka is, even now there are some ministers who don't have residences for themselves. They live out of rented houses here in Bangalore. We have a building called the Legislature's House, where the rooms are very small, where we can't house all these MLAs and MLCs. So the idea is not bad, but what kind of land they have chosen, if at all they have finalized it or not, we have to wait and see.
The idea is not bad, is what you said, but there are a lot of problems with that idea. If you were to keep in mind the information that we're getting right now, that there is going to be some serious deforestation in Whitefield. And think about it, Whitefield has gone to the dumps, from being the hub of IT business to toxic lakes surrounding it. The question we're even having this debate over here on the big story is because the city of Bengaluru and the people of Bengaluru are yet to get relief from many things that they have to deal with on a daily basis when they go to work and they come back, be it the traffic, the roads, I can go on and on and on, and of course the toxic lakes and the toxic air they keep breathing all the time. So many issues to be fixed, and you think that now is a good time to think about a villa, a plush villa with Olympic-sized swimming pools for the Netas?
Hussain Saab, may I only ask you one question?
Please go ahead, Mr. Saldana.
May I only ask you,
Please.
in all humility,
Please, sir.
may I only ask you, साहब, मैं आपसे एक question पूछना चाहता हूँ. I'm an ex-judge, but I'm a pauper compared to the legislators and the ministers. Now,
Sir,
you
sir.
said they don't have houses. They can afford to buy buildings. Every single one of the legislature, the whole country knows it, the whole state knows it. And do they have to destroy the last part of Bangalore, which has a few trees? We will not allow it to happen. I'm very sorry. I know Kannada, and we always say Sattaru Chintila, even if we've got to give our lives for it. But we will not allow this to happen. And my question is only this, that the government, which is supposed to uphold the Constitution, there's a constitutional mandate under Article 51, which says that the government should and everyone should work to preserve the planet. And is this preserving the planet? I told you 12 lakh hectares of prime forest land in the Western Ghats has gone. The greater part. Now, if these great people if you want to have places like this, you got lots of areas other than forest areas. Please choose them. We can't stop you from spending your money. But each one of these people, they got enough money to buy buildings.
Mr. Saldana, I just want to have one more thing. He can't stop you from spending money, but I'll tell you what, the money you're spending is taxpayers' money, and taxpayers are yet to get the return on the money that they've spent on taxes on some of the things that would be useful to them. And now you have Netas, making it better for themselves. It's an open and shut case, Mr. Hussain, don't you think?
Mr. Krishna, I absolutely agree with Justice Saldana. With his contention, I agree with that. But the point is, nobody knows whether that portion of the land which you are mentioning in the Whitefield, whether that has been finalized or not. Because what has happened in Bangalore is thousands of acres of land which was encroached, government land, which was encroached by various real estate groups, people, organizations and all, has been recovered by this government and different parts of the city. I am sure if it is a forest land, I am sure the government may not go for it. The government may go for something else other than the forest land. They would definitely abide by all the central government rules and regulations, keeping in mind the environment issues, forest issues and other things. So so let me not get into a debate on this portion of land, because I am not sure about that, whether they are finalized it or not. One. Point number two.
We'll keep the land debate apart. We'll keep the land debate apart. I want to ask Saldana as well. Just hold on. We'll keep the land debate apart. We'll keep the land debate apart. But even if it is not that particular piece of land in Whitefield, which is going to involve so much deforestation, just the idea of 100-acre plush township with Olympic-sized swimming pools coming up, Mr. Saldana, don't you think that even if it wasn't for deforestation, it's an atrocious idea either way? Mr. Saldana, please.
I'm sorry, Mr. Krishna. I don't mince words. You use the word atrocious. I will use the word corrupt. There's no other word for it.
Mr. Hussain, loud and clear.
It is downright wrong. Now, Hussain Saab, aap jante, you know it. Very recently, now where there are 1,000 alternatives which I proposed,
Sir.
you want to cut down 814 beautiful prime trees in Bangalore city to build a steel flyover so that people get crores of rupees. You see, you have said 1,200 crores. It's not 22,000 crores. I will establish it, and then the greater part of that money so that it can go to the politicians and bureaucrats and destroy Bangalore. There are alternatives. Float a global tender. Float a global tender. The people will build access to the airport on a build, operate, transfer basis. I've written and told the Chief Minister, but my letters go into the waste paper basket. So this is the request. Please, whatever is left of Karnataka, if you want with folded hands, I'll request all the netas, the MLAs, the ministers, even with folded hands. I have the humility to do it. It's a matter of survival. So please consider it. Don't take a step. And you are saying that we don't know whether it is identified. May I point this out to you? In my long years as a judge, 16 years as a judge, I have found that these decisions are not transparent. the decision is taken, and before you know, overnight all the trees are cut, and then the court is told now it's a fait accompli, it's too late and we want to continue. Now this time we won't allow it to happen. That was why the citizens reacted to the steel flyover. And that's why we've got to thank the media for forewarning us. What is the law? The law is that decisions of this type, as Krishna pointed out, where there are crores and thousands of crores of taxpayers' money, decisions of this type which are wrong and arbitrary, they can't be taken without public consultation. Forget about any other consider. What about the public interest? And it has been pointed out, I was listening to the reactions of quite a few citizens on this channel. They say that we are suffocating to death in that area.
Absolutely.
And you still want to cut the trees?
Absolutely. I think it's time we let Mr. Hussain talk. Mr. Hussain, your response.
I don't want to react on that portion of land because I am not very sure whether the government has decided on that or not. So let us keep that aside.
Yes.
But on the other part, I think from the election to the business in the Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad, to the government work that happens, in the various officers in the government, to the housing facilities that is provided to the government. Everything comes from the government exchequer. That comes from the taxes. So we already, I think in the country, in every state and also in Delhi, I stayed in Delhi for almost 2 decades. All elected representatives will have to be put up in some place or the others. You can't tell that you can't say that the legislator is capable of buying, so the government will not provide him a house. See how many legislators. I agree with Mr. Saldana. Maybe 10%, maybe 20%, maybe 30% of the elected representatives or the MLCs are capable of buying a house for them in Bangalore, but not all MLAs. Now I know MLAs, I know MLCs who can't afford to even pay rent on their own. So they will have to be provided. Now,
they will have to be provided.
I don't know from where did you get this, because I have read the news item,
and a world-class recreation center. That's not accommodation. That is, a recreation of a really plush housing complex.
Krishna, please hold on. Krishna, please hold on. Krishna, please hold on. See, 100 acre, I don't know where we have found that. It has only come out in a news report. I don't know if you have access to any government information. 100 acre of land, point number 1. Point number 2, at any moment in your life, at any period, whenever there is some construction for the government employees or anything, they try to give them whatever best is possible. Do you think providing a gymnasium or providing a swimming pool in a township is a bad idea?
Hussain Saab, may I?
Now,
One
every
second,
construction
Mr.
that
Lana.
is happening in Bangalore, every society that is coming up, every this thing is coming, they are getting a swimming pool and gym.
All right. Mr. Saldana and Mr. Hussain, just hold for a second. I just checked with our team over here, and all our reporters, it's information that's flown in from different correspondents that we have, and we are sure about the information that we are in possession of at this point in time in terms of this brand new township. So, one is to set aside, the location and the 100 acres and all the details. And you know what? I'm not setting it aside. We are sure of that information we have. I'm bringing it back to the table. It is 100 acres. It is in Whitefield. It is going to involve deforestation. Mr. Saldana, your turn.
Hussain Saab, in all humility, may I respond? There was a proposal when I was judge of the Karnataka High Court not very long ago. There was a proposal to carry out a huge extension to the legislator's home. And that was challenged on the ground that it was to be constructed in Cubbon Park and that the law did not permit it. Now, when that case came up before me, we did a lot of research. Yeah. And you know what the research showed? The research showed. Now, I'm not against it. I'm fully in favor of, having a swimming pool and a little gymnasium and all is perfectly legitimate. And in these days, very often where you can't go outside, we are not against that. What I just want to point out to you, perhaps this was not brought to your notice, that when we did the research, we found that at any given time, the huge legislators' home which you had, which is more than enough to house all the legislators and the ministers, that it was 80% vacant for the simple reason that though I went there, I saw it, they've got 5-star facilities there. But they say, these people are too big and too grand, they say they don't want to stay there. And now they say, as I pointed out, I mean, I'm sure nobody will be able to dispute the fact that every single one of them, you don't need to buy during your tenure.
Which part?
The legislators' home in Karnataka, at any given time,
Which property you're talking about, sir?
the legislators' home in Karnataka, where the ministers and legislators should stay, there's perfectly legitimate. It's just next to the Vidhana Saudha, and you see, they're too big. They don't want to stay there. They want to stay in luxury villas. Now they can afford it. By all means, if they can afford it, let them stay. When I was transferred to Karnataka, I lived in the government guest house for 11 months because I had the humility. I didn't have the money to go and buy 5-star accommodation. Now, you see, we expect our leaders to set a good example and not to destroy the city. And that's why, you see, we are begging, we are requesting, because every reasonable request is totally discarded and the government continues arbitrarily.
Mr. Hussain, on this show, I've never heard such a well thought out, well researched, and well put out plea to politicians to please bear in mind there are people apart from you in this country. There are people in this country who don't get 2 square meals a day. And here you are gifting yourself luxurious villas. Mr. Hussain.
Krishna, can I come in here?
Please do.
Krishna, can I come in?
Yes, please.
See, with all due respect to Justice Saldana, he has been our judge here in Karnataka, and I accept all his arguments. See, but my only point is, even now the ministers are staying in rented properties. Even now, we will see, if you don't provide accommodation to the elected representatives, then you will have to pay them from out of the government exchequer. So when you have to pay for them, then people will ask for all kinds of all standard hotels and all those things. So it is always better that we have a decent sort of a township where all people are housed at one place. So the idea, I don't think the idea is very bad. And if Mr. Krishna wants to tell that it is a very spacious bungalows are coming, luxury 5-star accommodation is being given and all that, I don't know from where you're privy to that kind of an information. I'm not against the idea. But yes, if it is in a forest land, I think it has to be objected. If it is in the prime area where it could be utilized to some other purposes, I'm sure I think you should oppose it. But please let us not oppose the idea, because this sort of an arrangement is there in every state. I have traveled almost to all the states while I was working in my party in the Youth Congress. See, every state has some sort of a complex where the MLA elected representatives are housed. You have to provide them with some sort of an accommodation. Now, coming back to legislature's house, I have been there, I have visited there. It's a very small one-room, bedroom kind of a apartment. It has been built very long back. Now, if the government really goes ahead with this idea and actually builds up a small township for the legislature, I think this building can as well be used for some other government purposes. Because now we have Vidhan Saudha, and then we have Vikas Saudha, we have MS building. We are still in short of government officers, for which we are paying huge rents, and we have rented some properties to house government officers. So maybe that can be used for that. So I am personally not against the idea of having a small township, but let us not give idea to the people by telling a spacious, luxurious and that kind of property. If you really have some kind of information, please share with us.
All right, I'm going to let Mr. Saldana have one final word before wrapping this discussion up. Mr. Saldana.
Hussain Saab, this is very personal. The press asked me when I went to the press club once during the watch controversy to show them the watch which I am wearing, which I will display. This is a simple watch which costs a couple of hundred rupees. At that time, my chief minister was hauled up for using a watch which cost 80 lakhs. Now you see, is this Is this a good example? Now, by all means, you see, nobody has said that people should not be accommodated. There's plenty,
That's
but
right.
this is not for the day-to-day accommodation. This is a luxury. This is like a resort which they want to set
Saldana,
up.
I think you already made your point when you said that when I was appointed as the justice for the Karnataka High Court, I went and took up the government quarters. You didn't have to, you didn't really, and that's a High Court judge we're talking about. If a High Court judge can take up government accommodation without any frills, then why can't our netas? And with that, we wrap things up on The Big Story, this particular edition of The Big Story on Magic Bricks. Now, thank you, Mr. Saldana and Mr. Hussain, for taking time out to be with us. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at magicbricksnow. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.